welcome to an episode of That's My Opinion, Episode 6, Love in the Carolinas. Let's get to it. I saw two movies this weekend, Safe Haven and Beautiful Creatures. One about a love in North Carolina and one about a love in South Carolina. So, let's start with Safe Haven. Safe Haven is about a girl, played by Juliana Hough, who, after some scary and tragic thing happened, boards a Greyhound and ends up in Southport, North Carolina. As she's trying to escape her past, she finds herself bonding with the small town folk and making friendly with the hottest widowed single dad, Josh Duhamel, on the eastern border. It's a sweet love story of overcoming the past and feeling safe in the arms of a new life. The Good was beautiful North Carolina. I have a place in my heart for North Carolina. That's where the grass is always greener for me. So it was nice to see, in all of Nicholas Sparks movies, they all take place in North Carolina. He has the same love in his heart for that state that I do. Also, The Good was beautiful Josh Duhamel. He's just pretty, and he played the perfect, gorgeous guy in this one, a man's man, and a fixer picker upper, and a humbleness, and he was perfect. He was a perfect character. He was a perfect role. One other good thing to point out for The Good was how cool the ending was. Nicholas Sparks has a knack for a huge heart pull or twisted ending to all of his stories. Notebook was one of his stories. The Lucky One was one of his stories, and I don't want to give anything away, but both of those have a very strange twist or ending that you didn't expect. It's also that it's very likely that someone always dies in the end of every movie of Nicholas Sparks. But this one was a bit more unique, and I want to put it in the good, but I don't want to give it away either. It was kind of ruined for me when I read a review. So I caught what the ending was going to be right away, and I didn't. I was kind of disappointed in that. I liked that there was a bit of a twisted ending. The Bad reads like a Lifetime movie. In fact, I think the story was exactly done on Lifetime, and it was called Safe Harbor, because don't forget...
Well, you're right about the rape part, but I'm sorry, you still do have cancer.
Valerie Bertinelli in Men Are Terrible and Will Hurt You Because This Is Lifetime.
Another part to The Bad was it all was just too pretty. It was too perfect. I mean, even the bad part was not as scary as it could have been. This beautiful young girl and this perfect hot dad who could just pick up and come to this town and immediately get this job and immediately rent this house, and if you're escaping your past, how do you just happen to not be checked out? And I didn't read the book, but I guess some of that is explained. But the movie that I saw, I mean, if I'm reviewing movies, the movie I saw, it didn't really give you any of that information. It just seemed a little too put in place. It makes it unrealistic, and it makes the love story a little too perfect. As far as The Ugly is concerned, it does have an abusive husband story. A man who drinks his gin by the water bottle full is after this poor little innocent girl, and we flash back to him being very violent and awful, and sometimes that's hard to take, and for some people that's kind of hard to take. So I would say I'm going to give The Ugly as a warning that some of those things are hard to handle sometimes, and even when we see it on screen and it's not us, it doesn't really come off as this kind of movie, of that kind of movie in the preview, I don't think. The next movie I saw was Beautiful Creatures. Beautiful Creatures is a story based on a novel of the same name, a series of books called the Castor Chronicles series. The movie is about Ethan Waite, who's stuck in the small southern town of Gatlin, South Carolina. He fixates on the new girl in town, whose family has owned the town for years. As the plot turns, this young girl, Lena Ducan, is a witch, although she prefers the term Castor. On her 16th birthday, her fate resides in finding out...
Munchkins want to know, are you a good witch or a bad witch?
The Good It was an entertaining movie of the new popular teenage supernatural. It was nice to see a strong female role. She was a I don't need any kind of man in my life kind of girl. Uh, whereas suppose we've been left with Bella, who, can't live without Edward type of characters. It was nice to see someone strong, even though, in my opinion, she was awfully strong for a 15-year-old. She was a little old for her age, but it was nice to see such a strong character. The bad. The bad is that this movie is filled with a ton of great actors. Jeremy Irons, Emmy Rossum, Viola Davis, and Emma Thompson. Two of them, Jeremy Irons and Emma Thompson, were very British, but they're playing these Southern actors, and the dialect coach just fails at teaching them how to pull it off. The accents in this movie were so bad it was laughable. I spent the credits just rolling my eyes at, like, really? These great actors? And they couldn't pull off the Southern accents of the southernest city, of the southernest state? I mean, a town where they reenact the Civil War so religiously that they expect it to have a different ending. They had the basis on how to speak, and the only person that pulled it off was the main boy. He's the only one that could do this accent, and he was so southern that he came off as Forrest Gump quite a bit to me. He was cute. He was cute little southern. He had this great little accent. But I mean, Viola Davis could have pulled off a, I don't know, New Orleans type of southern black accent, or Emmy Rossum could have pulled this off better, and she didn't. They all had these really bad, I'm British, pretending to be Southern, and it comes off as American, plain, but sometimes the British slips in, and it was really, the dialect coach just completely failed. The ugly. I'm going to say that the ugly was the bad witch concept. Emmy Rossum's character went dark, and she became a slut, controlling men to do what she wanted them to do. We have such a strong female character and show the good to be strong enough to equal to, I don't know, Hunger Games status quo. But the opposite of that is the slut. The whole movie gives a bad picture of women. The southern mama who wants to rid the town of evil, and the grandmothers who are homemakers. I can see the South being the effect on that. But the girls of this movie was a strong, sufficient witch, a slut witch, and then there are the rich southern preppy girls. I mean, the whole movie just puts girls in general in a bad light. An ugly light, as it were. Alright, guys, next week I imagine I'll be doing a review of the Academy Awards, give you my insights and opinions to the whole last year reviews, and of course my big fandom for Seth MacFarlane, who I'm so glad is hosting. That is if I don't pop in to see Snitch or Dark Skies, so we'll see. Until then, tune in. We'll see you next week.